Hey guys, Joy here. In this video, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about CSS background properties. So the first question is, what are the background properties and why do we use it? In CSS, we use the background images to manipulate our images for our website so that it looks according to our design. So these are the properties that we are going to discuss today, starting with the background image. Once we are done discussing all of these properties over here, these 8 properties, and then we are going to discuss about the shorthand, which is this one, the background. You can skim through all of these properties. By the way, this entire video is divided into chapters. Timestamps are given on the description down below so that you can access any property at any moment you want. Also, I have an entire article on this topic that we are going to discuss today. Out of the box, you can see the table of contents over here so that you can access them at any moment you want. And then if you scroll down, you can see the chart over here. And then this is the steps to follow if you want to code along with the tutorial. You can follow it. And if you scroll down, you can see that I have beautifully explained each and every property and its values using appropriate illustrations and code snippets like this. You can see that. And I have also used some video clips so that you can differentiate between values. Let me show you a demo of it. If you scroll down over here, you can see that I have shown the difference between the cover and the content value. If you scroll down, then you can see the video clip over here where I showed you how this value behaves when you resize the window. This is the cover and this is the content value over here. The link of this article is given in the description down below. Go and check it out. If you are new to the channel, feel free to subscribe because I post videos based on practical web dev projects so that you can level up your coding skills. If that sounds interesting, hit the subscribe button and join my gang. And without further ado, let's get started. Alright boys and girls, before coding, first of all we need to download some images so that you can follow along the tutorial. The images are given on my GitHub. Link of this is given in the description down below. So once you click on the link, you're gonna find this, okay? And then you click on this folder over here. And we have all the images over here. But GitHub doesn't give an option to download one single folder. So what you're going to do is you're going to copy this link from here, and then if you scroll down, you can find the steps over here. This is a video over here, and you go to downgit.com. Over here, you're going to paste the link that we copied earlier, like this, Ctrl V, and then you create this download option. And now we have downloaded our files over here. Okay, now we are going to drag this file on our desktop like this. Open the zip file and drag the folder from there like this. Okay, so we have all the images that we need for this project. So we have all the images here. And now we're going to create a new folder named project like this, project. Alright, now open VS Code. On VS Code, click this file option and then open folder. Alright, and then you click this, select folder. It's gonna open our folder that we created earlier. Alright, resize the window and you drag the image folder inside our project folder like this. And now you click copy folder like this. Alright, so we have our images over here. Make it full screen, and over here we're gonna rename it because it is a very long name. Okay, if you hit F2, you can rename it, or you can right click and click this rename option over here. You write images. Okay, and now create a new file named index.html like this, and we also need a style.css. Click new, style.css, style.css. all right, now inside the index.html, write an exclamatory sign like this and you hit tab. Now how did this happen very quickly? That's because Emmet is pre-installed in VS Code. If it doesn't work for you, search online. You're gonna find appropriate solutions for this. Alright, so change the title from here to, let's say, background properties like this, Ctrl S, and we also need to link the style.css in our HTML like this. You write link tab. Okay, over here we're going to write style.css. all right, inside the body tag we're going to create a div with the class name container. To do this quickly, you write .container like this, container. All right, So we are gonna contact all of our tests using this div over here. Okay, Control S to save it, and then inside our style.css just simply target the container like this, .container, like this. All right, Control S. So back to the index.html, you hit right click and then open with live server. You click this. If you don't have it, what you're gonna do is you click view and then appearance, you click this activity bar and then you hit this extensions tab over here. You write over here live server. Okay, here's the live server. You're gonna install it, and then back to our browser we can see all of our result over here. Okay, all right, now back to the style.css. The very first thing, the most important part is we're going to include the height over here. If you forgot to put the height over there, I'm gonna beat you with this. Just kidding, don't mind me. All right, that's because it's very important. If you forget to put the height over there, then you're not gonna see the images. How is that possible? I'm gonna show you this right now. Okay, over here you write border 2px solid red. Okay, we're gonna remove this tab from here because we don't need it. So right click, hide activity bar like this. All right, now back to our browser, you can see a red colored line over here, and at the top of that we have some spacings. That's the default styles. In order to remove those default styles of the browser, what you're gonna do is come over here and then star curly braces like this, and then m0px tab, p0px tab. Okay, and set the box sizing to border box, bow size tab, bow tab. Magic. All right, we're done with the setup. If you come back to the browser, we're gonna see that we have no predefined spaces at the top of our container. All right, now let's input the images. Now the very first property that we're gonna discuss today is the background image property. We have two options to add background images in our style.css. The first option is by locating the image path on our directory, and the next one is by including the image URL directly. Let me show that to you practically. So back to VS Code over here on the container, you can say that I didn't include the height over here. That is because I want to show you the difference between putting a height and not putting a height. All right, now come to the images section and drag this kitty.png outside. Okay, move. Now you can see that the kitty.png and style.css are on the same folder, which is the project folder over here. This is the parent folder. So this is the parent folder over here. All right, and then over here we're gonna write bgi tab. Oh, sorry, bgi tab. Okay, so background image, and then we have the URL. So you write double quotes over here, and then you're gonna write the name of kitty.png, kitty.png like this. Now if you come back to the browser, we can see nothing. That is because we didn't include the height over there. So over here we're gonna include the height to 100 VH. To do that quickly, age 100 VH tab, height 100 VH, and now you come back to the browser, we can see, oh my god, we have a lot of kitties, raining kitties. Okay, so this is actually happening because of the property named background repeat. So we have to set it to no repeat. In order to do that, bgr tab, which is background repeat, no repeat is the value. All right, if you come back again, we can see just one kitty over there. So in total we have three cases when we are using the background image directory path method. The first case is when we have the image and the style.css on the same folder like this one. Okay, so in this case we have the kitty.png and the style.css on the same folder, which is the project folder. Okay, and the next case is when the image is inside a folder and outside that folder is our style.css. And the third and the last case is when the style.css is inside a folder and outside that folder is our image. So we're done with the first case where the kitty.png, I mean the image, and the style.css are on the same folder. And what if, let's say that the kitty is inside this images folder, okay? You hit move, and outside this folder is the style.css. So in this case, if you Control S, go back to the browser, we can't see anything, okay? That's because it is inside this folder, and in order to go forward, we're gonna put over here one dot and then slash, and then we're gonna write the name of the folder where we have the image, like this, images and then slash. This is the name of our image, okay? You hit Control S and you go back to the browser, we can see the image again. So this is the second condition. So in the third condition, we're gonna have the style.css inside a folder. How does that works? Let me show you. You create a new folder over here, write source like this, and inside this source folder we're gonna include the style.css, okay? We move it. Now we have the source folder inside the style.css, okay? And our image is behind, and our image is inside this images folder. So in order to locate that path, what you have to do is you have to go back. In order to go back, you have to write 2 dots instead of 1, okay? 2 dots and then slash. So we have gone one path before. Now we're gonna include the name of our folder where we have the images, which is the images folder, okay? And then we're gonna specify the name of our image, which is the kitty.png, this one. Now if you Control S, save, and then if you go back to the browser, we can't see anything. Why is that? That's because we have changed the path of our style.css. At the same time, we also need to change it on the HTML as well, otherwise it's not gonna work, okay? So the style.css is inside which folder? Is in the source folder. That's why we also have to write src slash style.css like this. You hit Control S, and if you go back to the browser, we can see that we have our kitty.png over here. So here we have discussed 3 methods of how you can use the images using the image path directory. And the next method is by specifying the image URL. By that I mean that if you see these images over here, these are direct links. So if I click edit over here, and we can see that these are just, so if I copy this from here, let me actually show you a demo of how you can use the direct image link, Control C. And then over here on the VS Code, let's come back over here and we remove this from here and Control V, Control S. So come back to the browser over here. If you refresh, we're gonna see this image over here. It works in a weird way. That's because of the property named background size. So if you come back to the VS Code and if you write over here BGS tab, which is background size contain, you hit Control S, come to the browser, you can see that it is now behaving as expected. I hope you understood the 2 methods of adding images using the background image property. Now let's discuss about the background size property. We have 3 options, okay? The first option is we can use either the cover or the contain value, and the next option that we have is we can actually set the width and height of our image using the background size property, and the last one is the auto option. So let's first of all discuss about the cover or contain value. Alright, now back to our code editor over here. We already have the background size from the previous example, so we have the contain value. So what happens if you put the contain value over here? The image will be on its original position, and if you resize the window, it's gonna maintain its flexibility. By that I mean that if you come back to the browser over here, we can see that the image is 100%. Alright, so if you hit F12 like this, and if you resize the window, we have a responsive image, alright, like this. So if you resize it again, we can see that along with the width of our screen, the image is adjusting accordingly. But if you change it to cover like this, COVER, Control S, and now if you come back over here, you cut it, now you're gonna see that the image is stretching so that it can fit as much as possible inside our screen. Now this method is not actually flexible. Why is that? That's because if you resize the window, we can't see that the image is responsive. But if you resize it further, then we can see these types of behavior. Alright, so if you want to make responsive websites, background size contain is the appropriate option for this one. All right, now let me show you this second option over here, how you can set the image width and height using the background size property. Now come back to over here and delete this, we don't need it. Okay, and now we're gonna change the file directory system. So we don't need a source folder, you drag it outside like this, move and delete this source folder like this, and on the images you drag the kitty.png outside. By the way, this kitty.png file is 512 pixels by 512 pixels, which means a square shape. So we can resize it at any way we want. Let me show you how that looks. Alright, so back to our style.css over here. Let's specify the kitty.png over here like this. Let's go back to the browser, cut this, we don't need it, and resize it. It is actually not working. That's because we also need to change the directory system over here as well. I mean the directory path. Cut it, and then let's go back and we can see that we have the image. This is behaving in a weird way. That is because it is set to cover over here. If you set it to contain, then we can see that our image will be like this, which is, it's gonna be responsive and flexible. Now let's change the width and height of our image. Okay, so this is actually 512 pixels by 512 pixels. Okay, now let's set it to, let's say 100 pixel by 100 pixel. Okay, so instead of cover over here, you write 100 pixels. The first value is the width and the next value is the height. Okay, write 100 pixels over here. Now we can see that we have an image of 100 pixels of width and 100 pixels of height over here. Now let's experiment with the auto value. Okay, AUTO Control S. Now let's go back and you can see that this is actually the original image. This is actually the original image of 512 pixels of width and 512 pixels of height. Alright, and let's try to resize the window and let's see what happens. Okay, now if you try to resize the window, you can see that this image is not responsive. At the same time, if you try to maximize this, we can see that this image is also not trying to stretch at the very end of our screen. It is just trying to be at its original state. I hope you understood these three values over here. Now let's discuss about the background repeat property. In total we have 6 values over here. The first one is the repeat, repeat X, repeat Y, no repeat, space and round. Let's experiment with the repeat property. Alright, so in order to do this experiment, first of all we're gonna set the size to 100 pixels by 100 pixels. Otherwise we can't actually see the result properly because the image itself is very big, which is 512 pixels by 512 pixels. All right, now currently it's set to no repeat. Okay, if you go back to the browser, let's cut it. Oh, I forgot to save it. Control S to save it, and then we can see that we have a kitty of just 100 pixels by 100 pixels. Now if we set it to repeat, then we can see that we have raining kitties, a lot of kitties. I really love kitties, man. All right, so what is actually happening is, first know this, that this is the x-axis and this one is the y-axis. Okay, now the repeat property works on both these axes. So this is the x-axis where we have multiple images, and we also have multiple images on the y-axis as well. Now the next property that we have is the repeat X. So if you can recall, this is the X and this is the y-axis. So if you hit repeat X, then the image will repeat itself just on the x-axis, not on the y-axis. Control S, let's go back to the browser and we can see that the image is just repeating on the x-axis like this. Now we can guess that if you write repeat Y, then it's gonna work on the y-axis like this. And the other values that we have is, we are done with these 3 values and also this one. And now this is very important. You should pay close attention to the difference between space and round. All right, now first of all I'm gonna write over here space. Okay, and now let's come back to the browser. We have multiple images over here. The main difference between space and round is when you resize the window. Let me show you. F12, and then If you resize the window, we can see that we actually can't see anything. Let me just do this at the very shortest. Okay, I have just minimized the screen over here, and then if you pull this, you can see that space over here, no images. As long as it hits the 100 pixel mark, we can see another image over here. Likewise, if you pull it, okay, as long as this one hits 100 pixels, then we're gonna get another image like this. So this is called the space value. Let's pull it again, and you can see that as long as it doesn't hit 100 pixels, it's not gonna show us image. Compared to round, if you write round over here, R-O-U-N-D, like this, Control S, what it's gonna do is, let me go back to just one single column over here. If you resize it, and you can see that there is no space, just the image is stretching. This is the round value. Okay, as long as it doesn't produce us 100 pixels, it's not gonna create another image like this. On my blog, I also included two videos of the difference between these two properties like this. So this is the round over here. You can see that I am stretching the kitties and it is showing us the results. At the same time, this is the space over here. And this is the space over here. You should definitely go and check out the article if you want to revise it very quickly, easily and efficiently. I hope you understood these 6 values over here. Now let's discuss about the background position. Now you can use the background position property to place your image at any point you want inside your web browser. By that, what I mean is, you come back to VS Code over here, and instead of the round property, let's set to no repeat like this, and let's set the kitty to 100 pixels by 100 pixels as well. Alright, if you come back to over here, you cross this, we don't need it. Okay, so we have just the kitty over here and the red colored border over here. This whole area is our container. Alright, now you write BGP tab, background position. Initially it's set to 0, 0. So this point over here is the 0, 0 point, which is the x-axis will be 0 pixels and the y-axis will be 0 pixels. Alright, and now if we set it to, let's say, 100 pixels, okay, sorry, 100 pixels. So this is the x-axis over here. The first value is the x-axis. You Control S, and then we can see that the kitty has moved, and now we can see that the kitty has moved 100 pixels to the right. All right, and now this is the y-axis. Okay, so if you set it to, let's say, 400 pixels, okay, like this, Control S. Don't forget to save, otherwise it's not gonna show us the result on the browser. You can see that the kitty has moved 400 pixels below on the y-axis. All right, now this is the positive value. What if you want to use some negative values? We can also do that. So instead of the 100 pixels, write 10 pixels, and over here you write minus. Now it's gonna shift our image on the negative side, which is the left side. Okay, if you hit Control S, go back to the browser, you can see that our kitty has moved on the left side. Now let's increase the value from 10 to 20 and let's see some difference. You can see that it has moved even further. Let's set it to, let's say, 40 pixels to see some major changes. Now we can see that the kitty has moved 40 pixels to the left side, making it half invincible. You can also use 4 more values: top, right, left, bottom. Let me show you how you can use that. You delete this. Let's say that we want our kitty, Control S. Let me just uncomment this. Let's say that we want this kitty to be at the very bottom right. In order to do that, first of all, we are gonna write bottom over here. Okay, write bottom. Okay, let's see the result on our browser. You can see that the kitty has moved to the very bottom. In order to move it at the very right, we're gonna write right over here, R-I-G-H-T. Control S, and you can see that the kitty has moved over here. If you want it to be at the top right corner, then you have to write top by removing this one. Control S, go back, and we can see the image is over here. I hope you understood these values. You can also use percentage values. Let's say 10% will be on the x-axis, and on the y-axis we want it to be on the 30%. Okay, now we can see that this is 10% over here and this is 30%. How this is calculated? This is calculated using the available space inside our window. Now let's discuss about the background origin property. In total, we have 4 values of the background origin property. The first one is the border box, padding box, content box, and the inherit. Let's start discussing about the border box. All right, But before discussing about this property, first of all you need to understand the CSS box model. Okay, so this is the box model over here. So on the screen, the very first thing we have is the border, and inside the border we have the padding, and inside the padding we have the content. So the box model actually works like that. Now come back to our VS Code over here. So we are not going to use the kitty.png anymore. We're going to use the cutegirl.jpg. Okay, so in order to locate this, you can see first of all it is inside the images folder. Okay, now remove this, and in order to go one folder forward you write /. It is inside the images folder, and over here we need the cutegirl.jpg like this. Control S, you go back to the browser, and we can see this one, it is actually not working in an appropriate way. In order to do that, you remove this and you write contain like this, Control S, and we don't need the background position anymore. You uncomment this or delete this. For this I'm gonna delete this, Control S, and then you go back and we can see that our image is showing over here. Okay, to be honest, I really have a crush on this girl. Okay, back to our project. Okay, so come back to VS Code. First of all we're gonna increase the border. Okay, set it to 20 pixels like this, Control S, go back, we have 20 pixels of border. All right, and then we're gonna set some padding. Let's set it to 20 pixels, 30 pixels, otherwise we can't see the difference between the padding and the border. All right, and now let's go Control S and let's go back. We can't actually see any difference. We're gonna see the difference when we put the property and the value. All right, and now border style, write dashed. Okay, so border style, write dashed. Control S, go back to the browser, and we can see that we have dashes around our image, I mean our container. Now let's compare this using the box model. Okay, the first one is the border. So this is our border, which is 20 pixels over here. Okay, and then we have the padding. This will be our padding over here, which is 30 pixels. All right, and inside it we have the content. Okay, we have the content over here. Now the first property is border box. So when we use the border box, let's see what happens. Okay, over here you write bg origin, bgo tab, which is the background origin. Okay, the default value is the padding box. Okay, let's set it to border box like this, Control S, and let's go back, and you can see that the image is actually moving on the border. So previously it was on the padding and now it has moved to the border. Let me show you in a realistic way. So if I go back, if I just resize it, wait a second, let me resize it so that you can actually see live how this is done. Sorry for the inconvenience. There we go. I have a small app named DexPin. What it does is it's gonna pin our VS Code at the very corner so that it doesn't move when we click away. Let me actually show you the difference between using the DexPin and not using it. Okay, so this is the DexPin enabled over here. If I click over here, you can see that it's not minimizing. This is the app. It is called DexPin, DESKPIN. If you Google it, then you're gonna get this extension. All right, if we hit Control B, then it's gonna remove this tab from here. Control B. All right, and now we have over here the border box. Okay, so if we write padding box, then see the image is moving from here to here, padding box. Now you can see that our image was on the border side, now it is on the padding side. Similarly, if you write content, content, like this, content box, then you can see that the image is moving inside the content box, which is let me show you. This is actually let me minimize it. This is actually the model. Okay, this is the border, padding, and the content. Inside the content, our image is there. Okay, so this line is 30 pixels of padding. What happens if we increase the padding? Let's increase the padding and show you the difference. So instead of 30 pixels, let's set it to 80 pixels, and let's see what happens. The padding itself is 80 pixels, and inside the content box we have our image. So it is actually working like that. I hope you understood the background origin property. You can actually play around with the values by changing it over here and see the difference by yourself. Now let's discuss about the background clip property, which is very similar. I mean very similar to background origin property, but you can be misled by not seeing the differences very closely. Let me actually show you, okay? Now over here, let's go back to VS Code, and if you write bg, which was it? Oh, clip, yes, CP, tab. So background clip property is the shorthand BGCP, and then you hit tab, you're gonna get background clip padding box. Okay, you uncomment this like this and Control S. Now we can see that there is actually no difference. You can say that by looking at the image, but there is actually difference. In order to do that, you resize the window like this, Control B like this, and you go to the image itself, which is this one, cutegirl.jpg, and we're gonna have a small status bar over here. In order to pull the status bar, you go to view over here and then you click appearance and show status bar like this, and over here you can see the width and height of the image, 640 by 959 pixels. So come back over here, and instead of this one, the height of 100 VH, you're gonna set the height to the height of the image, okay, to see the difference. So the height was 959 pixels, okay, so 959 pixels like this, and set the width to W to 650, I guess it was 640. All right, so W 640 pixels, tab like this. And if you go back, resize it like this, and now we can see that we have the image itself and the container. Let's actually resize the image itself to see the difference, because we have a scroll bar over here, and it's actually really hard to see the difference. All right, come back over here and follow along with me. Okay, you write over here 400 pixels, okay, and over here you write 400 pixels as well. Now we have the width and height to 400 pixels each, and on the background size to contain, you write 400 pixels as well, which is we are setting the width and height of the image and the container both to the exact width and height. All right, now Control S, don't forget to save it, and you go back to the browser. You can see that it is actually distorted by the image is actually distorted, but we need to see the difference between those properties. All right, Control P like this, and now we're going to experiment with the values. Okay, you remove this one, we don't need it. Okay, and now Control S. All right. All right, the first value that we're going to experiment with is the border box itself. So write border box over here, and over here we're going to write border box as well. So this one is the background origin property, and this is the background clip property. Okay, so we're gonna uncomment these two properties so that we can see the difference live. Okay, the first one is the background clip is enabled. Okay, now we can see that the border, now you can see that there is actually no difference. That's because this is the default value. Okay, now if you uncomment this, Control S, now actually see the difference. Okay, you can see that the image is inside the border over here, but it is not over here. Okay, that's because the image is actually pushed inside. If you uncomment this over here, Control S, then you can see that the image is actually on all the borders. Okay, like this. If you uncomment this and comment this out, Control S, you can see that the image is actually getting pushed inside. Now let's actually experiment with padding over here. Control S, padding over here as well, padding. Okay, now you can see that the image is actually getting clipped inside our padding. Okay, but compared to the background origin property, if you uncomment this, Control S, you can see that the image is actually getting pushed inside, and we can see that the image is actually inside the border as well. Now if you uncomment this, by the way, this difference is actually mentioned over here on my blog article. you can see that the border padding box and the content box is actually over here, the differences versus the image over here, which is the values for the background origin property. You can definitely go and check out the blog, but over here I'm going to show you live. Okay, and now if you give uncomment this, and over here you write content box and the padding box to content box as well, Control S. Now, oh, I actually need to comment one. Let's comment the background clip. Now we can see that this is the padding, this is the border, and this is our content over here. The image is actually getting pushed. You can see that the image is not actually getting clipped, it is getting pushed inside. How is that? You can see that the image is actually appearing on the border over here. But compared to the clip property, if you uncomment this and comment that one out, you can see that inside the padding we have the content and it is actually getting clipped. So that the main difference between the background origin and the background clip is that background origin pushes the image inside, but the background clip actually clips the image so that it can fit inside our box model, which is the CSS box model, which is this one. Let me show you. So this model over here. Okay, so the difference is, just remember this, background origin pushes the image inside to fit the box model, but the background clip actually cuts the image inside the box model so that it can fit properly. I hope you understood the difference between the background origin and the background clip property. Now let's discuss about the background attachment property. We have three options: scroll, fixed, and local. We can see the main difference between these three values when we scroll our content. I have actually included a code pen over here to show you live how it works. So this is the scroll property. If you scroll down, we can see that there is the image at the background and we have the content at the top. So if you scroll down, it is just normal image and the content. Okay, so this is the scroll property over here. If you scroll down the code pen, we can see that the image itself is moving. Okay, but if you scroll down inside over here, you can see that the image is not moving but the content is moving. So if you scroll down again, you can see that the image is moving, okay, making it a parallax effect like this. So this is actually called the fixed property. Okay, and then if you move it again over here, this is the local. Okay, so what local does is it creates images after images as long as we scroll like this. So this is the content, and at the background we have the image. So the background image is actually covering the entire width and height of our screen. So if you scroll down, then you can see that we have another image like this. So this is the local property. I hope you understood the background attachment property. I'm gonna include this code pen inside my article so that you can go and check it out. And we have the source code as well over here so that you can see that how it is actually made. Now let's discuss about the background color property. This is the last one, and it is predictable by itself that it is used to set color for our website. How that works is we actually don't need this image anymore. So come back to our code pen. Let's remove everything. Okay, we don't need it anymore, like this. And the background repeat, we don't need it, and also we don't need the image itself. Control S and everything is gone. Okay, but don't forget to put the height over here. Okay, otherwise I'm gonna beat you. Just kidding. All right, now where was I? Oh yes, background color, BGC like this. You hit tab and the default value is the white color. If you want to set it to, let's say, red color, Control S, then we can see, oh sorry, we don't need the hashtag over there. You can see that the whole image is red color. Now we can see that the whole background is red color. Okay, so if you set it to, let's say, lime, Control S, you can see that it has gone to lime color. If you set it to sky blue like this, and we can see that our background image is, the background color is sky blue. Now we can use a lot of values over here. You can use the hex value, which is hashtag FF000, which is the hex value. This is the red color. You can also use the RGBA, RGB, then square brackets. You can also use this, and you need to input three values over here. I don't know what this will input, but let's go and check it out. Control S, then it's gonna give us this black color, I guess, But if you use the property named RGBA, okay, and then at the very end over here you can adjust the opacity of the color like this, 0.4, let's say we have set it, now it's 40%. This color is 40%, okay, and if we set it to 1, let's see what happens. Now we can see that this is 10%. Now let's set it to 0.7, this is 70%, okay, the black color is getting applied 70%. But if you set it to 1, which is 100%, now it is completely black. I hope you understood the background color property, which is very basic. You can pick various colors from this website, which is colors.co, COOLORS.co. From this website you can get millions and millions of colors, both in hex format, RGB format, etc. The link will be given in the description down below so that you can experiment with the values and the colors over here. So we are basically done explaining all of these values over here. Now we're going to discuss about the shorthand, which is the background itself. In order to experiment with the background shorthand, we also need to know about the shorthand order, which is this one. First of all, we need the background color, and then the background image, then the repeat property, attachment and position. Let's experiment with the values live. Let's go back to the VS Code, and we don't need this, Ctrl X, which is delete. And then the first one is the background color, BGC, which is color, BGC tab, okay, you write sky blue like this, blue, Ctrl S, okay, don't forget to put the height over here. And then the next thing that we need is the image itself, so BGC tab, sorry, not BGC, it's BGI tab, which is the background image, and then we have the URL. Let's include the kitty.png like this, Ctrl S. Oh, we have a lot of kitties, we don't need it, so BGR tab, which is background repeat, no repeat, Ctrl S, and we can see that we have the image and the background color is set to sky blue like this. Now what was the order? Let's see, color, image, and then the repeat property. So we have 3 of these properties, 1, 2, 3, and the next property that we need is the attachment property. I showed you the attachment property over here, which is if you scroll down the images like this, then it's gonna work. So we actually don't have any content, but we're gonna keep it blank. Not just blank, let's set it to BGA tab fixed, okay, to show you how the shorthand works. And then the last one is what was it, the position itself, okay. Let's actually set some position of it, BGP like this, and let's say the value will be 100 pixels and 100 pixels on the X and Y axis like this. And now this is 100 pixels through the Y axis, and this is 100 pixels through the X axis. All right, now in order to do it in the shortcut way, what you have to write is BG tab, which is background itself. The first value is the sky blue, okay, sky blue like this, and the next one is the background image. So URL you write like this, kitty.png like this, and the next value is the background repeat property, okay. So you're gonna write no repeat like this, and then the fixed, okay, FIXED, and then we have the position, okay, 100 pixels and 100 pixels over here. So 100 pixels, 100 pixels like this, and Ctrl S, we can see no difference. If you delete the code, which is the long hand from here, and Ctrl S like this, and we can see no difference. Now we can see that we have written 5 properties into one property, and now look how clean this code is. And if you want to change the values, you can change it over here. Let's say that we want the x-axis to be minus 40 pixels like this, and you can see that the image has gone to the left side. If you want to change it even further, let's set it to, let's say, 100 pixels, okay. Now you can see that the image is going inside. Now if you don't want one property, but if you can maintain the order, then it's still gonna work. Let's say that we want to remove this background attachment from fixed to null. We don't need it. Let's just remove it, Ctrl S, and it's still gonna work because everything is on order. So we're done with the tutorial. If you like the video, give a like, share it with a friend and feel free to subscribe. Till then, take care and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.